of a jerk and a masochist. So it's like, I want to get it right. I want to get it right. I want to get it right. And even when I get it right, I could probably get it better. And not everybody works that way.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm kind of a jerk.
So the band started in Pittsburgh, though?
Yeah.
And at what point? You started in the 90s? Is that
94.
94?
Yeah.
So as a sort of entity, even though it moved out here, did any of the band come with you, or you came out and started fresh with new members?
No, so what happens is... So I'll give you a brief history.
All right.
So me and this other guy, or this other guy and I, to all the English teachers out there, we're sitting around one day going, oh, man, we should start a band. You know how that conversation goes 1,000. We should start a band. It'd be so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, okay. So then, it's like, well, I play bass. You play guitar. We could totally do this. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting around talking, and, well, what are we going to name it? And I don't know. So then we start making fun of buRgandy. That buRgandy jerk chick. Dude, that's the name. Yeah. And, as in the 90s where everything is spelled wrong, like, yeah, but we can't spell it right. We got to spell it with a U, and we got a this, and we got a that, and da-da-da-da-da. And so, of course, who'd have thought 25 years later I'd still be trying to, no, it's an A. I know how it's spelled, but it's an A. And so anyway, so that lasted about 8 months before that guy's like, yeah, this was a dumb idea. I'm going to go do something else. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to keep going because I don't pick up on subtle clues. So then I found a bunch of other people. I was 18. They were 15. They all wanted to be in a band. I wanted to be in a band. Mm-hmm. And we made it work for like a year and a half.
Wow.
We met at the drummer's house with his mom yelling down after every song, that was good! Good job! She was exceedingly Christian, so she was constantly checking up on my lyrics. Are you sure this is, like, we want to make sure they're wholesome? Oh, yeah, no, they're not angry at all. And, but anyway, so that went for a while, and then the drummer started getting, he was a teenager. He was like, I want to do it my way, and we're going to do it this way, and just, it stopped working. So the bassist, the other guitarist, and myself went on and started looking for another drummer. And, that was back on the days where you'd stick the thing on the wall of the music store with the tear off a tag and call us if you're interested.
Yeah.
And then you go back once a week to see how many were gone, and none of them ever were. Because there were 800 other ones of those up that also never had anything torn off. Because why would you just call a random stranger and, I want to play drums? But every once in a while, there'd be one gone. And then you'd sit by the phone going, he's going to call. He's going to call. And then he'd call. Oh, my God, it's you. I mean, hey, what's up? And then, but we never found anything that worked. So then they kind of went, I'm going to start my own band. So they went off and did their own thing. Mm-hmm. And then I'd call them up and be like, hey, okay, I found a drummer. I get, all right, fine, I'll come back. And then they'd come back and would do it. So the guitar stuck around for 9 years.
That's a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had bassists kind of come in and out. And so we'd have these groups. So it was the first Inclination. Then we had the second lineup, which was me and the guitarist and the two other random people. Mm-hmm. A good friend of mine named Iggy and then a guy named Bob. And then that went on for 4 years where we were getting like these amazing gigs. But the downside of this band is I believe it's cursed. So like the band Catch 22 was coming into town. And we used to there was this place called the Millvale Industrial Theater that was like an empty abandoned warehouse that this guy named Manny, who I think just lived there, would just be like, hey, we got, like, somehow he turned into like this huge promoter writer in town. And so he would call us all the time. For some reason, he loved us. And he would call us all the time. Hey, I got this band coming in. You want to play with them? Yeah. So we played for like all these, what are now established bands, but at the time were up and coming. Mm-hmm. So, like buRgandy, I think was one of them. A couple other ones. But Catch 22 was coming into town. And like, you want to open up for Catch 22? And we're like, yeah. Yeah, we do. Well, that night was the worst snowstorm the city had seen that year. So, major band, 4 people show up. The band barely made it to the show. We barely made it to the show. And we're just going, yep, this is our luck. Like one of the greatest opportunities you could ever ask for. Because like the place is going to be packed. We're the opening act. And nobody can get to the parking lot.
Wow.
Because the roads were so bad that people were just like, we're not leaving our house.
Yeah.
And yeah, like even the Catch-22 was telling us, it was like, yeah, we almost didn't, like, we got stuck at the hotel. We didn't know that we were going to make it here. They showed up like, I think it was like 20 minutes before their spot or something.
Oh, jeez.
It was crazy. And then, so then that breaks up. And what ends up happening is people come up to me at this point now and they go, when are you getting this back together? To which I go, oh my God, somebody likes me. I got to do it. And so then I put it back together again. So then the third one was still back in Pittsburgh, and we were doing great, and we were doing great, and we were doing great. And then the drummer's like, he's like, there's something wrong with my elbow. My doctor's telling me I can't play drums anymore.
Wow.
And I'm like, not only was I devastated by that, but he was such an amazing drummer that to hear that he can't play drums anymore was actually more depressing.
Yeah.
And that's what I told him. I'm like, that's awful. You know? And so I started adapting this thing where I realized you can teach someone to play the songs, but you can't teach them to be a cool person.
Right.
So I would just get people who wanted to do this. Like, well, I've never played drums before. I'll teach you. Like, really? Like, no, I'm dead serious. I'll teach you. And so that drummer, I taught him how to play drums. Like, I gave him a bunch of songs, gave him tab, and just said, do this. He's like, I don't have a drum set. I'm like, yeah, you just need pillows. Here's 2 drumsticks. Take some pillows and pretend they're drums.
Wow.
He calls me like, I don't know, a month later. All right, I got the 3 songs. It took him, I don't know, 45 minutes to get used to playing them on actual drums instead of pillows. But he had it.
Huh, wow.
And like I gave him an easy song and I gave him a really hard song. And he had them both. And I was blown away.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, that means the guy had innate talent. Like, a sense of rhythm.
And he only got better. It was super amazing. So Damon, if you're listening, kudos to you. So then when he left, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And so at the same time, the girl I was dating had gotten a job out here when she was going for a master's degree, and she went to a conference and they offered her a job. So she still had like 8 months left of her schooling, but had a job out here. And she's like, I'm going to go to Arizona. And I'm like, yeah, I want, because my brother moved to Vegas and my friend moved out here. And so I came out and was just like, I don't ever want to leave. I love it out here. And so when she was like, yeah, I got a job in Arizona, I'm like, this is awesome. This is where I want to be. And so then we moved, and the band stayed behind because essentially we had broken up.
Yeah.
So I get out here, I'm living in that apartment, can't play music. I'm doing like some acoustic open mic nights and stuff just to feed my jonesing. But then I get the house, and instantly, like, oh wait, there's a guy with a practice space, recording equipment. He plays drums, and he's not in a band. So guess what happened? I just get deluged with, you got to play drums for me. You got to this. You got to that. Da, da, da. So I was hanging out with this guy. We were just playing, like, we were screwing around, just playing music like every Friday. And he introduced me to this other guy named Ian. And Ian says the story's different than I remember it, but I still say he was like, we got to do this. We got to put this together. We got to do this. So then he and I just started playing acoustic versions of the songs, like testing it out at open mic nights. Like these songs are anywhere from, what is it, almost 20 years old, some of them.
Oh, wow.
Like, do people care?
Yeah.
Like, they hold up, you know? Like, I ripped off Nirvana when I was 15. Is this song going to hold up? And weirdly it did. Maybe because I ripped them off really well. I don't know. But yeah, like they seemed to hold up. So we're like, well, okay, let's find a bassist. So then we looked and we found a bassist, and then we were doing it through this thing. It's a big purple box that I built to haul equipment, to haul like sound equipment. Because in Pittsburgh, they don't have a lot of sound guys, or at least they didn't at the time. So you showed up with your entire sound equipment. I mean, PAs, mixing boards. You had the
whole kit.
Yeah, you had to run sound while you were playing.
Oh wow.
Because the boards that they had, had beard spilt on them, and maybe 3 channels worked, maybe. And so, I had this box, and so we built it so that we could have an automated drummer.
Okay.
So they would play the tracks, and basically it's like, this works, but it's not the same as having a drummer.
So it's kind of like an Echo and the Bunnymen situation or something.
Yeah. And so, obviously we got to find a drummer. So we tried out a couple, it didn't work. And that's when we met Kat, who, again, I've never played drums before.
Oh.
I'll teach you. And she, same thing, like, here, do this, do that, and boom, just took off. And it's really fun to watch. Because you see somebody who's really nervous because, like, wait, I've never done this before. Now all of a sudden you're handing me drumsticks and telling me it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden now it's like, holy crap, I'm actually able to play a song. And I don't know how I got from here to here because it was all a blur. Mm-hmm. And it's just so much fun to kind of watch that evolution. Because especially we lived it when we were 15 of like discovering the first note on a guitar and making that first chord and being able to go from the E chord to the A chord without screwing it up or having to go, oh, wait, hold on, I can do this. Hold on. And then, so now I'm coming from a position of, I've been doing this for 25 years, I can do it in my sleep, to watching someone go through that same exact experience of, wait, hold on, I can do this. Oh my God, I did it. And it's so much fun because you kind of get to relive those years, and it's just cool.
It is. It's not, I mean, and having heard the latest album, it doesn't sound like somebody who hasn't been playing for that long.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because the first couple shows we played, people come up to me like, or come up to her, and be like, oh my God, you're so good. And she would like, oh, thank you so much. I'm like, well, how long have you been playing? And she's like, I don't know, 6 months. And they were like, no, seriously. And she's like, no, really, like 6 months.
Wow.
But, but she's playing parts written by someone who's been playing for 25 years, who's got these little fills and, oh, yeah, then you hit the cymbal this way and you do one of these and you do one of those. Okay, now you do it. And so she goes through this crash course of, not really discovering how to do that role, but just being forced into it. Like, well, you have to play it this way. That's how it goes. You can't not do it that way because then you lose the panic of that song.
Right.
So you have to do it. So you have to learn how to do it. And so there's a lot of just sink or swim in that position.
Yeah.
And so then when it's, well, I learned how to do this in 6 months, it's, well, yeah, because if you want to do this, like, the songs don't wait for you. We can't dumb them down for you. And you wouldn't be here if I didn't think you were good enough or weren't good enough to do it. So you proved yourself. Let's do this. And again, I think that's part of what I'm bringing to the table is I've seen it in you. Like, I see what's going to happen in 5 years. I'm just trying to make it happen in 5 months.
A condensed time frame.
Yeah.
Have you thought about like teaching a course or something? Because I mean, having done that a couple of times, it seems that's not terribly common. I don't think to get somebody to.
I have no idea what I'm talking about most of the time. Like, I don't say paradiddle. I go, the little thingy where you go did.
There you go.
I don't know the terms.
So that's, well, I mean, and that's the thing about the self-taught. I mean, I've I don't put in near the amount of hours that I'm sure you have, but I've been playing guitar for 20 years at this point,
Right.
and I